Before we get into the show, I wanted to ask about the beginning and where the idea for Heartstopper came from. Because I think Nick and Charlie appeared in, was it a Tory novel? Yeah. So could you talk about that, please?
Yeah. I mean, many people in this room may know this story already, but my very first book that got published was called Solitaire. Solitaire and Joy is in the room. Great. And that was about Tory Spring. And in that novel, Nick and Charlie are characters. They're kind of side characters. We don't learn a lot about them. We just know they're in this relationship, a really strong, loving relationship. And when I finished writing that book, I had fallen in love with these characters, and I knew that I wanted to tell their story somehow. And for a little while, I tried to plan it as another novel, but I couldn't quite get it to work. And eventually I decided it would work better as a comic, which is a more serialized medium. And so that's where Heartstopper was born. Yeah.
And when you finished, when you put it out there, did you expect the reaction you got? Like when you released the graphic novel, the reaction was quite big. Was that something you were expecting, or did you think, I'll put out this webcomic, I'll get that story out there and see what happens?
Yeah, not expected at all. I mean, it's so... At that time, graphic novels were not very popular in the UK. But I mean, specifically young adult graphic novels. They weren't really a thing that was being published in the UK. And when I first tried to see if Heartstopper could get published, I was sort of told there's just no market for this. Like, no one is publishing these books. Just, you'll have to do it yourself. And so I did. I self-published the first volume, and it kind of blew up, and I was shocked. I mean, I'd never imagined that it would have garnered so many readers, and yet here we are.
And then, right, so obviously they became ginormous. And then at what point did you think this could be a TV show? And was it Patrick that approached you, or did you approach Patrick? What was that journey?
It was Patrick who approached me. I mean, having one of your books adapted is so rare for an author. It hardly ever happens. And, it's like a sort of dream that authors have that most people never get to experience. And so it's not something that I was actively seeking out. It's not really something most authors do, to be honest. But then when the first volume kind of kicked off, I got interest from
me.
From Patrick.
Yeah. Because I always try and remember back to the moment where I first read it, and I remember it was on my laptop. I was in the office, and I was kept clicking through the little chapters that you have uploaded on Webtoon or Tapas or whatever it was. I don't remember how I got there or anything, but I just remember the feeling of meeting Nick and Charlie for the first time and going, there's something so expressive about their faces, and it was so sweet, and I kind of felt seen by it, but also I thought there was nothing else like it that I could imagine as a TV show. So yeah, then it was pretty quick that I was in the room with you and going, please do it.
Yeah.
And so then from from becoming a fan of the graphic novel to then meeting Alice and then partnering with Seesaw and Netflix, what's that journey like? Because it's not as straightforward as, this is really good, I really like it, make a TV show, please.
No. It's like, the thing about Netflix is, and Netflix are amazing, it's been such a brilliant journey of working with them, but they're working on so many different shows. And so when you're in my job, a big part of what you're hired to do is to have the relationships to be this thing you really need above all the other things. I think at the point that we started pitching it to Netflix, the graphic novel had come out and it was gaining in buzz, but it was growing really steadily, but we still had to be quite covert. I remember not smuggling you into the room, but we were we went in with a presentation and we were we're going to tell them they need to do this.
Yeah.
So it felt quite, we had to fight quite hard for it.
And was there a moment where the fight eased off and you went, oh no, they're really behind us now?
Yeah, they were really behind us, for sure. It definitely is hard. It got harder to make in lots of surprising ways. I guess we were both quite inexperienced, and like we just had a lot of like ambition and love and kind of like commitment to it. And then, you know, when a show blows up, then there are all these other challenges that come that are like I was unprepared for.
Yeah.
And so once you had the green light from Netflix, how did you go about finding Eros Lynn to direct the first 2 seasons?
I've always loved Eros's work. He's the nicest guy, and I'd basically been pestering him for a long time to do something. And we'd started working together. We had your the most amazing moment of the whole journey actually was when you delivered the first scripts to me, and I was like, because you hadn't, you know, written before in that medium, and I just was, they were really long, and so I was a bit like, like this is a half-hour show, but it was like
it was 60 pages.
60 pages. And I was just like, oh my God, it's the best thing I've ever read. So that was really easy once we had that. And I had a general with Eros, and I was like, what do you want to do? And he was like, I just don't want to do anything with dead children in it anymore. I've done so much crime, and I want something lovely and uplifting. And I was like,
got just the thing.
I've got just the thing. And he read it and was in from that moment. It had been very hard to ever get him to engage with me until it was great.
And the writing process, because there's so much of the graphic novels in the show that is like pulled directly from it, but obviously you're writing in a different medium. What were the challenges of transferring the graphic novel text to screenplays?
Well, it had some challenges, but it was quite a similar sort of writing experience. When you're writing a graphic novel, it's mostly dialogue and then some scene directions. And then it's the same when you're writing a script. The biggest challenge for me was the plot, and like the Heartstopper graphic novels are extremely low stakes. There's really not a lot of big drama that happens, and when there is, it's resolved quite quickly. And that is very, very difficult to make work in a TV show. You have to stretch out the drama to keep people watching and clicking over to the next episode. So I had to tweak the plot in some quite careful ways, because at the same time I didn't want to massively change the story. I wanted it to be a faithful adaptation. So that was probably the biggest challenge.
And also quite satisfying because you are the creator of it. You weren't handing it over to a writer's room or, you know, somebody who may not have had the same vision as you. It was, you had your own level of control over the story you were telling. And then when it comes to, so we've had 3 seasons and now a film. Was that end game in your mind, or were you just focused on let's get the first season made and see what happens? Or had you already had a notion that you may get more seasons?
I don't think we'd had a notion that there would be by any means. Like we just had the 1 season. We were going to make this 1 season. I think in my mind, I knew even from the start I wanted there to be 4 seasons. And I remember doing an interview in season 1 time, and I just confidently said to, like, it was like Radio Times or something, I was like, I think there's going to be 4 seasons, and then they put it on their website. I was like, great.
All of the actors were thrilled.
But yeah, I mean, so I sort of knew that was what the story structure would be, but at that time we were just pleased to have the 1 season, weren't we?
Yeah. Season 1 feels like this kind of dream fairy tale time for Alice and I, where we like go back and think about these amazing things that happened, and it feels like another era.
It was like a little bubble of like pure magic.
Totally.
Because it was this tiny abandoned school in Slough, and we all of our dressing rooms were in classrooms, and it was like lamps on the floor, and it was like really sort of like unglamorous in a really like everyone mucking in together way.
And it was peak COVID as well, so it had this sort of strange
early 2021.
Yeah.
And it was just, we were all so happy to be making something gay and not traumatic, and like joyous and lovely. It was that first season was a real, like such one of my favorite jobs of all time. Anyway, so then you've got Eros, you've got Netflix. The next job is assembling the cast, and you did open casting calls. And what was the thinking behind that, rather than going with actors you may have been aware of and pulling in some, I guess, maybe more established names. Yeah.
We always were going to do an open casting call, but we did also go through the more kind of traditional routes of like agents and just sort of seeing who had lots of experience at that young age, because we definitely wanted like 16 and and them to be close to the ages that they are in the comic. And that's how we found Kit, who originally auditioned for Charlie, and we were like, he's great, but we don't think he's Charlie. But then, so we had Kit in play and in mind at the point we went out for the open casting call. So we didn't put Nick within the open casting call.
But was it the rest of the friends?
We had Karina as well. Karina we found early. Yeah. But the rest of the group were all in the open call. Yeah.
We had a you weren't there. We had this hilarious meeting with Karina and Kit. Neither had been cast, and then our casting director Daniel started like lobbing a rugby ball at Kit to check his like rugby acting skills. And it was really weird. And then he was like screaming whenever Kit would throw the ball back, and it was just like it was the funniest.
Was this in the room, in Dan's tiny room?
No, it was in a strange film studio somewhere. I don't know why we were there.
Probably because of COVID.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Strange.
It's an interesting method.
Kit had come from school. It was very like they were really young. It was just like it's bonkers to think of it now.
And so then when you found everyone, what was it like seeing the characters you'd drawn and written be performed by the actors you'd cast? Like, what was that?
Very strange. It was so thrilling. Like I remember one of my most special memories was the final audition that they all did. The lead 6 cast all in the same room for the first time, because all the auditions had been done on Zoom because it was COVID. And then we finally got everyone together, and it was just surreal to see my drawings come to life. It's strange.
We didn't have backups for any of them, so it was all like, we were like, we're going to meet Yasmin. She's the only person we think who can play Elle. We loved everything she's done, but like hopefully it all works in the room. Same with Will as Tao, and And so when they were all getting to know each other in that hotel in Windsor, it was like Alice and I were like sort of, it was really fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to say, I'm a bit biased, but I do think everyone is excellent. I think they all fit into their... I think they all slotted into their roles so perfectly. And the nicest thing for me as an older person was that none of them have turned out to be like monsters. They've somehow all managed to be like remain decent people, and that's a testament to you and Daniel for Okay, so what do you think it was about them that made them gel so well? So I didn't know this Windsor hotel story. So they were. So what, you had them in a hotel and... Yeah,
we had them in a hotel function room, and we did chemistry auditions with the 3 lead pairs. And then we did one audition with all of them together as a group. Just to see what the energy was between them, and
that's where Eros actually was really great, because we were just sort of like, oh my God, they're all so amazing. But Eros was really pushing them in their scenes to be like, do it in a different way or mind something different. And kind of, I remember, because apart from Kit and Karina, they weren't experienced at all, the other guys. So they were quite like, whoa, okay, like it was a sort of acting assault course, but it made it, I think they really bonded in that moment because it was quite intense for them, I imagine.
And it was they were so natural with it. Like in season 1, I wasn't there very often, but when I was, I felt there was a real ease at which they approached the scenes. Anyway, I wanted to talk about season 2. So season 1 comes out, and I have to say, we did this tiny thing in this tiny school, and all got on with our lives. And then the show comes out, and it's ginormous, and not just in the UK. It's now been watched, I think, in almost every country in the world, which is a monumental feat. So when that level of success happens, and Netflix go, give us some more.
Yeah.
How does it feel to sort of have helmed such a successful show? And two, what were the pressures / pitfalls of going into a second season, or the difficult second album, as people like to say?
Yeah. I mean, we were so excited and thrilled. Like, we got renewed for season 2 and 3 at the same time, which was kind of unheard of. We were so shocked. And the show, it just blown up on a level that we could barely comprehend, I think. But yeah, then the pressure was on to create a good new season of Heartstopper.
It was the Paris thing of season 2, just from a practical point of view, is my memory of being like, we had this amazing like moment of success, and the show really connected with so many people. And then I was like, talking to Netflix, just being like, yeah, we've got to film like a lot of it in Paris. And like, do you understand like how expensive that might be? And it was like, so that was like a big journey. And I was once on the train home, and I was talking to Netflix about Paris and like what we were going to do. And then I saw someone on the train who had the Nick smiley face tattoo on their hand and was wearing the orange Adidas t-shirt. And I was like, this is like, the simulation is cracking. Like, I'm like going crazy. Like, it was so amazing, but very overwhelming. So doing the day job changed a lot for us in that moment, because then there was so much expectation suddenly.
Yeah, it was like I'd had so long to write season 1. Like, we'd had like a year and a half to develop it essentially, and then season 2, it was like, we have to film in this time frame, and you've got 4 months to write the season, and that was a very different experience.
Yeah, it got harder. The writing got harder, actually. I think for you, definitely after season 1, didn't it? Because we were always deadline.
And was that a Netflix deadline, or was that a?
It was kind of like sort of logistical.
Lots of different things, like actor windows, and then weather all the time, because you always write really specific weather. So everyone's very obsessed with the trees and what the trees are going to be doing at the time of year, because every time we've done it.
Paris was freezing.
Paris was a real ride, wasn't it?
The Eiffel Tower. So we had permission.
We barely had permission.
Barely.
It's like the flimsiest of permission.
The staff were like, you can film here, but we will do our jobs. And so we were all downstairs at the bottom, and we were just trying to get in the lift to get to a particular level, and they were getting all of the food in,
the crossants,
for all of the pastries, and they wouldn't let us get in the lift so we could start shooting. It was very, very stressful, and then it was really cold. Yeah, it was like 6, 7 in the morning.
I think it was early. We got there like 5
I know, we had to get there early.
Because when it opens, that's when you're chucked out. So you get you get a filming window of about 3 hours, and we had 2 of them. We had 2 mornings, and you start at like 5, and they chuck you out about 9 or 10, I think.
Yeah, that was tough. I mean, it was brilliant, and we managed to do it, but it was a lot.
Yeah.
They were all really sick. Well, a lot of the cast was sick.
Yeah.
And I remember, the scene where they're running up and down the Eiffel Tower, and I was like back in where we were all stationed, and you guys were like doing it, and I was like, why is that coat moving on the ground? And it was Kizzy was just asleep under this pile of coats, and he should have been in running up and down as Darcy. And I was like, it was that sort of chaos. It was fun.
It was fun, but everyone was knackered. I can't believe I managed to get out there and do it. I was terrified I was going to be replaced at one point.
No, never.
No, because they were. It was a tricky negotiation.
Who's your play? Your play was a real spanner in the works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm so successful. Thank you so much. Thank you. Right, so where are we? Let's talk about the Emmys, because we've won some Emmys, haven't we? I say we. I haven't won any. How many Emmys have you won?
How many Emmys?
There's one for writing.
you won writing, we won the best
Yeah.
teen series, and Kit won, and
Yeah.
Olivia Colman won,
And we won casting.
and we won casting. So that's 5.
Then Joe this year.
Then Joe
Yeah.
and you this year.
7.
7. What are the Emmys like? And did you go to In-N-Out Burger afterwards?
I think you think these are the primetime Emmys. They're actually the children and family
Hey,
Emmys.
an Emmy is an Emmy.
That's what they say when they give it to you. So they're like, because the first one we did, that you weren't there. Why were you not there?
Because I was like, oh, it's in LA, that's really far away. We might not even win anything. Like, I'm not going to go and then we won't win. That'll be really depressing. No, I regret my decision.
Yeah, it was, and that one was the first, because they do the Children and Family Emmys is this new thing that is like a, you know, an offshoot of the normal Emmys. And within it are the teen categories of which we're competing in. And the first one was like a really funny experience because I was there with Joe and Will and Bash, I think, and they were like the stars in the room because it was just after season 1 had come out, and it was a really, really fun experience. And they were like glammed up in these crazy outfits, very like fashion-y.
Bash is quite fashionable, isn't he?
All 3 of them were really giving it, and they were a bit like, yeah, it was like, that was really, really fun, and that was when we won lots. And then we did go out for a meal afterwards, but it wasn't In-N-Out Burger, but it was
somewhere classier.
Yeah, and we had the Emmys, and it was like quite a vibe.
That's so.
Yeah.
Did you just plonk them on the table?
Yeah, plunked them everywhere. And
You sort of like, please feed us for free.
Yeah.
I like it. And then the actual ceremony itself, was it? Because I feel like the primetime Emmys are quite a long.
Yeah. No, you haven't been to Children and Family Emmys, are even longer.
Are they really?
Like, there's like celebrating some puppeteer from the 70s for 10 minutes, and then there's like the best sound mixing in like an animated preschool show. Like it's lots of awards. Yeah, so they're long.
Okay. Let's go on to some fan interactions. Alice, are there any that stick in your mind? Let's go for the good ones.
The good ones, yeah. Oh, I mean, so many. I don't think I've ever had any like really crazy fan experiences. It's always, people are always so nice. I mean, whenever I meet people at signings, everyone's just very kind, and people have, you know, made little books for me of them, you know, messages from fans, and have brought artwork to show me, or just telling me their life story. Like, it's all so nice. Yeah.
I had a boy and his mum come up to me. I was watching Legally Blonde, the musical, High Art, and it's actually a very good musical. I don't know why I said that. And this boy and his mum came up to me and said, "Oh, your show is the reason my son came out to me." And they'd watched it all together, and at the end of season 1, he came out to his mum, and I thought it was so gorgeous that this tiny thing we did together in this very tiny, unflashy way has managed to move and affect so many people globally. I just think that's a really lovely thing. This will stay with me for a very long time. Can I ask about casting new characters for seasons 2, 3? We won't go into the film, but for seasons 2 and 3, there was my favourite addition was Nima as Mr. Farouk. That was a real. Season 2 is my favourite because it felt like Mr. Ajayi really arrived in the show. And the casting of Nima, how did that happen? And thank you very much.
I mean, it was just kind of a standard search, wasn't it, at that point?
Yeah. We saw lots of audition tapes, and Nima was really, really funny. And then I think we were in the room with about 2 or 3 top Mr. Ajayi picks.
Yeah, Mr.
Farouk, sorry. And he sorry, Fizz, I'm being replaced. Yeah. He was just so funny, and he ad-libbed a lot of the lines that actually made it into the show.
Yeah.
So like, I don't give a rat's ass, rude boy.
Yeah.
And I remember when he said that in the room, and I was like, oh my God, Alice, like, this guy's so good.
Yeah, he really. We had when we did our little getting down to business scene. He he and I laughed more than I've laughed the entire.
Yeah.
See, it was just ridiculous. We just
But
kept making.
I will say, the pair of you for the cast, like you can just feel the love whenever you two were on set. And then when Nima had joined, and then the Paris thing, it was like this amazing trip that they all got to go on, and you like they were just so excited to be around you guys, and like I think that chemistry is definitely in that season for sure.
He's my fave. We they're all my fave. Everyone's my fave. But he's very, very special. He's a very special person. And we had a very good time. Who else? Who was a new addition in season 2?
Layla.
Layla. Love Layla.
Yeah. Layla had the funniest self-tape. Do you remember?
Yeah. Yes.
She was in a car and she'd like filmed herself from really far away.
She's about this small in the frame. And, it was...
And then she didn't even do the monologue. She just like chatted for
she couldn't get it to work. It was like, it was just full of personality. And we were like, we've got to get her in the room because we have no idea if she can act at all. But she's like so sparky. And then, everyone just fell in love with Layla.
Yeah.
She's brilliant. Oh. So, just to get serious for a moment. So, Heartstopper is obviously just one of the most joyous, gorgeous, love-filled shows in the world, but also tackles quite difficult issues. There's eating disorders and bullying and self-harm and coming out and all of these things in it. And what I love about how you've handled it is that it feels... It never gets too heavy. And I just wanted to ask what your process is in dealing with these themes and handling them the way you both do.
I mean, that's sort of one of the challenges of writing Heartstopper, is finding that fine line between wanting to portray these issues realistically versus also not making it so heavy and dark that it just becomes sort of gratuitous and difficult to watch. So, I mean, it's the same challenge that I faced when writing the books, to be honest. And the helpful thing is that it's an adaptation. The story has already been read by so many people who've shared their thoughts. You know, every time I post a comic update, there's so many comments telling me exactly what people think. And so I sort of had so much feedback already. And then when we were working on the show, you know, I think it must have been season 2 or 3, we got Beat involved.
Yeah.
Beat is an eating disorder charity, and they read the script and just to sort of see if there was anything in there that might be particularly harmful to watchers. So we had a lot of people working on it.
And there's a lot of extra training went in for cast and crew, especially when we started, just to make sure that like we didn't want to like overdo it in terms of like these are all the kind of rules that you have to follow or be like too explicit, but just making it really clear that this is, as a production, it's run by queer people, and if you want to come into that space, like you know, anyone and everyone should be able to come in and like, but just be aware of that, you know. So I think with our cast we were really lucky because they kind of knew and loved the source material and understood what it was about from the very beginning. It was like we found our people in terms of like wavelength as well as like talent and ability and all that sort of stuff.
I have to say, I've never been on a show where a producer has been so on hand. Like you were so hands-on and so on set. And it was really comforting to know that anybody at any level could approach either of you with an issue, a problem, a question, and knew that it would get solved. And it was it made the entire experience of making the show so comforting because we all felt incredibly held. And, you know, making a show is not easy. There's a lot of money at stake. There's lots of things going on underneath just beyond getting your lines right and saying them in a way that people believe. There's so much more stuff that goes on, and it never felt like that side of making a show bled into the day-to-day running of it.
I mean, everyone was loving the opportunity to get to do it, I think, from like directors and producers and all of the crew as well. It was so sort of it's a life-changing thing, I think, for lots of people who worked on it. So.
Yeah. It's very rare there are so many queer people on a crew in a show at one time. So with that in mind and the legacy of Heartstopper, we've got your new novel coming out in July. And the film coming out at some point. What do you hope the lasting legacy of the graphic novels and the show is? It's a massive question.
It is a massive question. A few people have been asking me that over the past few months, and I think for me, I hope that the existence of Heartstopper will mean that more stories like Heartstopper can continue to exist, whether that's books or shows or films. Just the fact that Heartstopper was made and did so well means that people are more willing to take a chance on queer stories, stories about marginalised characters, stories about those characters finding joy. I think those stories are so important, and hopefully we'll see more of them in the future.
Yeah, totally. I think, when we were first pitching it as a show, it felt like there wasn't a precedent for it, and now it sort of feels like that there have been shows about queer characters, but I think there could be so many more, and it does still feel like those shows get less money when they're greenlit, and they have to over deliver, and like A Heated Rivalry is was made for no money and massively connects on a big global scale. Sort of there are differences, but there are some similarities to Heartstopper in that we didn't have a lot of money, and so I think it's about continuing to expand and do that good work, and so that there is more money to tell those stories.
You'd hope it would set a new precedent for production companies to back queer stories and queer-led stories, but it seems not to get too into it, but it does feel like that's always the barrier. They're happy to go, we'll green light it and pat ourselves on the back for pushing this big gay show forward, but they never want to give it the money they give a House of the Dragon, which we love burning people alive, but I think we also like seeing some men and women kiss each other, so maybe put some money behind that too. Okay, I wanted to ask why a film, and what the process of making that was like, what that was like.
We've sort of said that making Heartstopper has gotten harder every single time. There's so many logistical challenges in making a show at all, and as the popularity of Heartstopper exploded, it's just kind of made it harder and harder for us. And so we knew after season 3 we needed there to be one more. There needed to be something to finish the story. I had hoped it would be a season, but we just couldn't quite make it work. And the solution was a film. And it involved a bit of rethinking. It's a different format, but it was kind of an exciting challenge as well. And it meant that we could do something quite new and exciting, and I think that really inspired everyone.
Totally, yeah, because we had a really tiny window, so we were racing to go, how do we make this puzzle work? And there were, not to get into details, but it was once you'd solved one thing, there'd be some other big iceberg that you hadn't even considered that would come, and you'd be like, and we were just sort of between us, we're going to commit to this because we actually think it could be amazing for the story that you've written to finish Heartstopper, which is kind of crazy. It does lend itself to that structure, and it allowed us to really kind of push to make it visually really cinematic, to make it very dramatic, to kind of tell the story in a slightly different way. And we had Kit and Joe as exec producers, which was a new thing and was really brilliant because they were sort of much more involved in all of the minutiae of it. And so it was really fun to bring them to that other side of it and show them that world, and it felt like a completely different experience from making the show. Obviously with obvious similarities because it is still Heartstoppers. I text Joe, I text all of them to see if they would appear today,
they're all busy being movie stars.
This is the problem.
Yeah.
This is the problem. But Joe, Toby, Nima, Karina, Layla, all of them said that their favourite day, I don't know if I can say, was a day where we were all together.
Yeah.
And it was very hot.
Oh, I think you can say this.
Oh, so
yeah.
there's a prom in the... There's a prom? Yeah, okay. I was there, I can't remember.
You're in it.
I'm in.
You do a very good dance.
Thank you. Got that to look forward to. But there's a prom and we were all there and it was my last day on the film. And it was one of the best days because it was so hot. Everyone was having the time of their lives.
Yeah.
We were being really silly, making each other laugh when the camera wasn't on us. And it was the perfect way to end it because I think it started in this really small, intimate way. And that scene, even though it was a big old prom and there's a marquee and all sorts of things going on, was that group again just having a brilliant time. It was really amazing. Right, well, that is about it from us. So I'm going to hand over to you for some audience questions. And I will kick us off if anyone's feeling a bit nervous and say, is there going to be Mr. Ajayi and Mr. Farouk spin-off series, please?
Never say never. Never say never.
Any questions at all? Anyone?
I'm not sure because I think it's always been the case that I've written the story of the comics before we shoot the thing. Even with the film, which is the closest the comic and the film has ever been in terms of the creation process, I've always been sure to write the story for the comics first, and because ultimately, you know, the show and the film, they are the adaptation. And I've always felt very strongly that I want the books to come from me, and like kind of as they always have done. So yeah, I guess
You were drawing for Volume 6 scenes that we were shooting on set
I was.
as we were shooting
Yeah.
them, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh, like
very
it was
weird.
really like we caught up.
yeah, they completely caught up. Yeah, it was strange.
So you're like what everyone wishes George R.R. Martin would have done.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't something that I really had as a goal in my mind when I first started making Heartstopper. I really was just interested in writing a romance, the romance of Nick and Charlie, and in the romance genre, they're joyful stories. You know, there's a happily ever after. That's kind of what most romances are. And when I started making the comic, I didn't really question whether that was doing anything particularly unusual or revolutionary. In books, I think it's more common, and there's certainly at that time and still now, obviously, there are a lot of stories of queer joy in the book world, and that's the world I was in at the time. But then when the TV show happened, it was suddenly made very clear to me that as a TV show, this is actually a very rare thing for people to see on screen. So it took me by surprise. So weird. So for people who don't know, the comic Volume 6, the final book of Heartstopper, is currently updating online in the webcomic, and the final update of that will be on April 11th, which will be an epilogue. It's so strange. I mean, the Heartstopper webcomic has been going since September 2016. So 10 years, almost 10 years. I can't quite wrap my head around it yet. Yeah, it's going to be a very big change in my life. I don't know how I'm going to feel about that. I have no idea what I'm going to do. I really have no idea. I think it's really important for me to take a break from creating stories. Like I need to give my brain a refresh. I need to reboot my brain before I launch into something new. But you know, I love making stories. I love making comics. I'm excited to return to prose. I haven't written prose for a really long time. I'd like to go back to that. And I've really enjoyed working in TV and film. I'd love to explore more in that world as well. So I feel really lucky that I have so many options. You know, I can sort of go where the wind takes me, which is really exciting. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, my advice for anyone wanting to create their own story is to find that, like, a concept or something that you're really excited to write about. You've got to be in love with what you're doing and be, you know, you can't not write it. You just have to make it. And try not to think about what's popular or what other people might like. What's most important is that you love this thing that you're working on, and the love that you feel will shine through in what you're making. So that's probably my biggest piece of advice. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's so difficult. Making a TV show or film is extremely difficult. And I feel a little apprehensive launching into that process again, because although with Heartstopper it went extremely right, I know how easily it can go extremely wrong. And that scares me. So I don't know. Yeah, I really don't know. I think any of them could work as an adaptation, but yeah, it's not something that I'm like desperate to do at the moment. Yeah, that's a really good question. I feel like I've changed a lot as a person over the past few years. I feel like I've had to learn to speak up for my opinion. I'd only ever worked on my own before then, completely on my own. And yeah, with Heartstopper, I had to try. I had to learn to care less about, you know, being disliked or saying something that someone might disagree with. That just wasn't a skill that I'd had any practice with. And I think that's going to serve me really well going into the future, just being able to stand up for like what I think we should be doing creatively. Which is quite hard for me because I'm a massive people pleaser. So yeah.
You always did that though, I think, from the beginning. I feel you're so hard on yourself with the early Alice when we were doing it right at the beginning, because your vision was always there and we always were following it. So
That's good.
But yeah, it's a process.
Yeah. Like I'm so glad I could put that into Heartstopper, and I know that a lot of people have seen themselves in Isaac in that way. I think there needs to be more. Like I think Isaac is really kind of the minimum. Not the minimum, but like he's definitely not. We would have to have a show that was about being our ace to really like get people to understand what that's all about. But just the fact that Isaac exists is so rare in TV and film, and I think that's needed. It's not enough for sure, but it is something, and you know, every little helps with representation. So I feel really proud. And Toby has always cared so much about that representation. You know, every time we've done a new season, he's always come to me and be like, what's Isaac's story? Like, what are we doing here? What's he representing? He's always cared so much about like representing that experience authentically. And that's meant a lot to me. So yeah. Easiest page to draw. I mean, any page that's got like one tiny panel, or when it's just a leaf or something, like that's super easy. Yeah, I mean, thinking, I guess more generally, when it's just their faces, I find Nick and Charlie's faces really easy to draw at this point. So when it's just close-ups of their faces, that's always an easy one for me. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think it kind of comes from the top. So it's sort of like if you're at the early days of before you're on set and you're kind of like going, what sort of production is this and who is in charge, writing or directing. And the producer's job is to support that, to go, okay, well, this is the tone that we want to set. I think then it's really important that you make connections with all the key players from the cast all the way down to the crew and that everyone knows what you're about. And I think with Heartstopper, it was kind of, because we had Alice's amazing graphic novels that were there as like physical books that we could show everyone who joined the production. We didn't need to work too hard for it. But I guess it's about going, how do you do that on sets where it isn't so sort of like specifically a queer story and specifically queer filmmakers? And I think that's where it's definitely harder. I mean, it's just been a joy to work with the cast who get it so completely. And I know it's like, seeing Rhea up there. Rhea's now gone and done Pride and Prejudice with Eros, who's shot 6 episodes of that for Netflix as well. And so I do another show called Sweet Pea that has Ella Pennell in it, and Jenny Walser has joined the cast in season 2. So I've been hanging out with her. So it's all these, I don't know, it's just, there was a bit of magic in Heartstopper and sort of, I think that gang will stay together and hopefully, bring it out into more productions. But yeah. They're very, Kit and Joe have always been defiantly themselves from like the minute we met them all the way through the process. Joe's just very cool, I'm just going to get on with the job. He's very clever, he's very analytical. If he's got a question, he'll ask it, but he's not, he's sort of to the point in a way. And Kit is completely different in a really complimentary way, where Kit really likes to talk about everything in detail and sort of get under the skin of stuff and really. So they're kind of chalk and cheese in the rehearsals when we're in rehearsals with them for each season, but together they really sort of trust each other. So them coming on as executive producers, it felt like they were like a team, and where they could help you and I just to go, hey, this is what we think about this. It was really brilliant to feel like they were sort of incentivized to do that and part of that.
Also having people that have been the leads of a show, then having a bit more of a say in the show and having them be the people that we're all chatting to. They know all the problems and they know all the issues and they know all the thing and all the niggly bits that we're all a bit annoyed about. They're fully aware of them. So when they became execs, there was a real level of transparency that all of the cast were given that for so many reasons are not often available to the cast, suddenly were. And it was a real, for me, and I think a lot of the cast, we really benefited from Kit and Joe's sort of additional perspective on things. It really helped to contextualize a lot of things that that had been maybe niggling at us for years. And it was, they were really amazing. It was a really kind of quite a beautiful, generous decision you made, and it was deeply beneficial to all of us.
Oh.
This is for you, Alice.
Oh no.
I'll help you.
Oh dear. I'm not good at this. It's hard to. I've never thought about the whole process of creating Heartstopper. If the question was what is the song that represents Heartstopper to me, that's Everywhere by Fleetwood Mac. That's my number one Heartstopper song. But the process itself is, I mean, it's been every emotion under the sun. So I don't even know if I can summarize it with one song. Well, you just heard a Baby Queen song. There is a Baby Queen song in the film.
Yeah, and we have playlists every time we do it. I think with the movie, we were like quite aware this is the last time we're going to be doing this, and so lots of like emotions came with that, and because of that, when we really struggled to find the right song for that moment, and when we were just like, actually, let's not overthink this. What if we go back to one of like the Heartstopper classic staples? You get stuck. You always go to Baby Queen or Wolf Alice or All of Gartland, and so when we found that, we were like, oh my god, yeah, it was like Heartstopper was back with us.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you to Alice and Patrick